Hello, welcome back to Learn Economia. Today we are going to look onto a very important topic, and this is called life cycle hypothesis. And this is one of the important theories when it comes to macroeconomics, and this is identified as a consumption based theory. Now, let's understand what this hypothesis is all about in a detailed way. Now, the theory is being proposed or developed by Franco, Modigliani and Richard Brumberg in the 1950s. So these two people are behind the development of the theory. So both these people are economists, and they were developing their own version of something called the consumption income relationship. Here, the theory explains the way in which people would be spending and saving over their lifetime. So, whenever you are getting some income, you would be using this income for your consumption requirement to meet your consumption expenditure, and also you would be using your income for your saving. So, you could find that whatever income you have, you will be dividing this for your consumption requirements as well as you will be using some part of your income for saving, isn't it? So, whenever there is something called your income is fixed. Usually what happens is you will have certain income, and when your income is fixed or remaining constant, you can find that if you're increasing your consumption, you will automatically require to reduce your saving. Again, if your income is fixed, if you are reducing your consumption, you can go for more of savings. Now, in this particular theory, we will see these kind of things over lifetime of a person or over lifetime of people. So let's look onto it. So the basic idea here is that when you are young, your income would be very low, isn't it? So here you might be a student, you might be a school going or college going, and the only income that you would be getting at this point of time would be your scholarships or your grants, etc., which would be very less. But when it comes to your consumption requirements, you will be having more of your consumption requirements because you need to pay your school fee, you need to get uniform, you need to purchase your books. So there are several consumption needs that you would be having. And in this scenario, to meet your consumption requirements when your income is low, you have a tendency to borrow money. So what you can do, you might go to bank and you might be taking some bank loan. For example, you might go to bank and take some education loan. If you are applying for higher studies, you might be doing this, right? And saving can happen in your life only when your income rise. So when this will happen, when will this happen? This can happen only when you have a job, right? So once you have a job, you will be getting income. So here your income would be more, and out of this income, you can definitely spend some part of your money for meeting your consumption requirements, and the rest you can save, right? Now, when it comes to your retirement time, what you will be doing is that you will be making use of the savings that you have already made when you were young and when you had a job. So you call it as this saving. So what is this saving? You are drawing on the savings that you have made during your younger age. So even when you are at old age, when you are in your retirement times, your income would be less. Why? Because this time you are not earning any salary. Instead, you will be earning something called your pension, which would be most probably lesser than your salary income. Now, the central idea of this particular hypothesis is telling that your current income, your expected future income, and your current wealth, these all things would be influencing your consumption. Definitely your current income. What is your present income? Current income means your present income. This play a very important role in determining your consumption behavior of today, and also your expected future income. So you might ask yourself sometimes, If this is my present source of income, if I'm investing here and there today, I might be getting different incomes from multiple places, right? You might think in this way. So, in that sense, I might be getting different incomes. I might be getting income from different sources in the future. So, what is my expected income? You just go for that. You take future into consideration here. Take future into account, isn't it? Now, also, it will depend upon your current wealth. Your current wealth means your present asset, the assets that you are having. For example, the gold ornaments that you are having, the property that you are having, gold ornaments or property, whatever kind of wealth you have, your current wealth, if you sell it in the market, you will be earning some money, isn't it? So, all these things will be determining your consumption behavior. This is what this theory is saying. Also, the theory is based on several assumptions. The theory assumes that people have a tendency to plan ahead. So, whenever they are making some planning regarding how much of their income to be consumed, how much of their income to be saved, they definitely consider their future income. And also, they will make their retirement decision. So, whenever they are making their current behavior of consumption, they take their retirement into consideration, consumption of today. So, why? Because you know that if you are consuming more today, let it be C1. Consumption of time period 1 is denoted as C1. This will be reducing the saving of time period 1, isn't it? So, for the same reason, this will be reducing your income during the time of old age. Your income, that is, let it be Y2, during old age, this would be lesser because you're consuming a huge part of your income today, which will be reducing your ability to save today. And we have already seen that it is your savings that you will be drawing on in the future when you are retired to have your consumption. So here people always go for a rational planning. They will take future into consideration whenever they are making some present consumption based decisions. So this particular idea is making us to go for another kind of assumption based on the same theory. So the assumption is that consumption would be having less connection with current income. So people would just consider several other components as well. So definitely this is one of the component which will be affecting your consumption behavior. Apart from that, it depends on several other factors as well. We have already seen the factors. We have seen that your expected income will be influencing, expected future income would be influencing, and also your asset, that too would be influencing your consumption behavior. Okay, so let's have more understanding regarding this theory. Let's see how the theory is working. How will the theory work? So the theory says that people have a tendency to seek a stable consumption pattern which is not based on whether their income is high or low. So people do not want to make a change in their consumption. So in period 1, they have made something called consumption 1. In period 2, they go for again consumption 2, right? So their consumption over time will be having some changes. Definitely some fluctuations will be happening, but people do not want these fluctuations to go beyond the limit. They want these consumptions and so on here also, this consumption to be showing some stability. They want to make it a stable. So in certain periods their income might be high, in certain other periods their income might be low, but people do not want the changes in their income to be reflected on their consumption behavior in the form of fluctuations. So people want their consumption to be stable, whatever be the level of their income. So here the proponents of the theory, the developers of the theory told that we can explain the theory by considering three different life stages of a person. Because a person will be moving from one different period to next different period in his lifetime. It's not like since we are born as infant, we will be we will be remaining as infant throughout our life. We are born as a small baby, but we will be like growing later on, right? We will have a childhood, we will have an adulthood, we will remain old and so on, right? So this is what is taken up by the developers of the theory, and they are seeing how in each and every period people would be changing their consumption and saving behavior. See, so let's see that here. So here first we can consider the early years of life. When it comes to early years of life, people might be mostly students, right? They might be in school or college as students. So here they do have very low savings because their income is low. Income is low. So the only type of income that they might be getting is some scholarships or grant from the government, or else some pocket money that children would be getting from their parents or grandparents or other relatives. Anyway, the income source is very limited. The sources of income are very limited, and their income would also be very limited. The absolute amount would be very limited, and for the same reasons the saving would also be low. So in this scenario, if students need some extra requirements, if they need to meet some extra requirements which cannot be met with their existing level of income, what they do, they go and borrow. For example, to pursue higher education, students go and take education loan, isn't it? Now, here their income is low. That is why to meet their extra requirement, they are going to bank and take education loan, because their expense is very high here. See, education expense is there, transportation expense is there, and so much, isn't it? They do have some food requirements, other requirements, and so on. So their expense is high, but they have got less income and less savings, so they go to bank and get some money as loan. Now, when it comes to middle years of a person's life, now the person would be having a job, and this job will make the person to earn some income. Now, since the income is high here, using the same income, he can pay off old debts. So if you remember, the person had already taken some loan from the bank during his childhood or when he was a student. Now the person can use the income from his job to pay off that debt, and also he can consume a part of his income today, and also using the same income source he will go for saving. Why is he saving here? He's saving here because he is now preparing for retirement. He knows it very well that when it comes to his retirement time, it would be very less income that he would be earning. So now he thinks that this is the peak income period in his life, because now why income is showing a peak level here, because the person is having a job and he's working and he's getting some regular income, and he thinks that in his lifetime this is the most important phase which will be determining his consumption for tomorrow. Not only consumption of today, but also consumption of tomorrow. So what he will be doing is that he will be accumulating savings. Okay. Now, what will happen when he's retired? Coming to the retired life, he's having a falling income, isn't it? Why? Because now he's getting something called pension, not salary, and pension amount would be very less compared to the salary. Now, he might be having several requirements, medical needs, consumption requirements, and so on. Now, how can he spend for these? How can he make expenditure for this? Now, he will be drawing down the savings that he has made when he was in his middle age. Isn't it? You know, saving was made during middle age or during middle years of life. Isn't it? So now the person will be drawing down the saving, means he will be going for this saving, because he needs this to sustain the standard of living that he was having earlier, isn't it? So see, when he was a child, or when he was a school or college boy, he was borrowing to sustain good standard of living. When he was in middle age, he could have better income, and during that time he was not spending all the income. He was using certain part of his income to pay back old debts. He was using certain part of his income to meet his consumption requirements, and also he was using a certain part of his income to save for the future. Now when it comes to the retirement time, again he will be saving the already saved money to sustain the standard of living. And this is the main reason why the theory says that people always have a tendency to follow a stable consumption pattern. See, let's see the working of the theory by using some diagram. Here you can measure the lifetime of an individual along the x-axis, and you can consider income, consumption, etc. here on the y-axis. Okay, so this line, which is parallel to the x-axis, this shows your consumption line. You know, this is parallel to the x-axis, remaining stable over a period of time. So it shows the stable consumption that people would like to maintain. Okay, but here this is 0. When you move from 0 to 20 years, what is happening? Your consumption is remaining the same, but your income is showing some hike, right? Gradually your income is increasing. So in this period, so during, if you're moving from here to here, you could find that your income is lesser. But if you move from here to here, your income is growing. So we are taking about the case of something called student scenario, or else you might be like entering job for the first time or something. This would be the period till the age 20. Now once you attain age 20, you will be having some job, and from here your income will be starting to increase. So now we are considering your income line. So at a point your income will be maximum, because here your efficiency would be maximum, and you start saving this during this time. And later, after some time, when you age, your efficiency would be starting to fall, as you, and also your income will be falling. And gradually you reach your retirement period, and you would be moving to have a lower income. So you know, here in your early period of time, you have your student loans, borrowing, etc. But when you reach your middle stages of life, you have your saving around 40 years and all, you will be having good savings. Now around 65 years you will be having your retirement, isn't it? So this retirement time means you will be saving. You will be making use of the money that you have already accumulated in the form of savings during your middle years. So this would be a normal way of dealing with consumption saving behavior whenever it comes to people. Rational individuals. This is what is being told by the propounders of this particular theory. Again, they were talking about an idea called consumption smoothing. So if you remember, I told that people have a tendency to keep their consumption as stable. They want to make their consumption as a stable function of their income. They do not want to make too much of fluctuations in their consumption. So what they do, whenever they were not having enough income, they were borrowing. So less income means what they were doing? They were borrowing. And whenever they had more income, what they were doing? More income means they were going for saving. And whenever again, during their period of life, which is called as old age, what they have less income. Here they would be going for less saving, isn't it? So this kind of behavior of people make them to have something called stable consumption. So this helps people to plan in advance to avoid sharp fluctuations despite variable income at variable periods of time. So people would be adjusting their consumption to keep it as even as possible throughout their lifetime. This is what is told by this particular theory. Now, people have a tendency to accumulate wealth, you call as savings. So this will happen during working years, and they might also go for decumulation of wealth, which you call as dissaving. And this will happen during their older lifetime. Okay? And wealth accumulation will happen in working years, and this will be depleting during the time of retirement. Again, why? Because again, this is to maintain some standard of consumption. Some standard of consumption over a period of time. Okay? Now, see, whenever it comes to the principles, when in this particular theory, we deal with the differences in the consumption, borrowing, saving behavior of people. People would be having debt in the youth period. They might be having loan, and they had some borrowing, right? Because of lower income, this is what happened. And savings will be happening in the middle age because here the income is high. So here the income is low, right? That is why the person was going for borrowing. Now this saving will happen because this during retirement, again income would be lesser. This is a basic crux of the theory, and people will manage their income in different stages of life accordingly because they want to keep their consumption as stable. They want to maintain it as a stable function of income. They do not want to have too much of fluctuations in their consumption behavior. So, in short, we were talking about the behavior of people when it comes to different periods of time, behavior of consumption of the people when it comes to different periods of time, and people have a tendency to save during their working years because during this time their income is higher. So here what they do, they will be able to accumulate their wealth, that is they will be going for saving during their middle age, and once it comes to their old age, they will be going for this saving, isn't it? So this theory would be explaining the observed patterns when it comes to the saving rate, saving as well as financial behavior of people. So this is based on the observed patterns only. Okay. So that is it all for today. Let me tell you one more thing here. You can download the Learn Economy app where you will be getting so many benefits. You can get previous year question papers and answers. You will be getting free study materials, live recorded classes, free MCQ based weekly test, and I'll be providing the link of the same in the description box. Also, you can be a part of our free Telegram community where we will be having a lot of discussions. For this also, I'll be providing the link in the description box. Also, you can like, share and subscribe to our channel for more such content. Thank you for watching.